Good evening, everybody. Welcome to episode 104 of So What's Been Happening on a balmy kind of Monday night, actually, 25th of September. Look forward to this one. This is a chat kind of me and a couple of members from the band of Arabella and The Heist. I've been hitting these guys up for a little while to try and get a chat and an interview about the new EP they're released, The Backwoods, plus a little bit of a chat about music in general, a little bit of influences, and the classic first kind of conversations in relation to their first musical memories and all sorts of things. So what we're going to do is we're going to just quickly touch on tomorrow night's episode 105 with Jeb Cardwell. This is a good one. If you haven't seen Jeb Cardwell before, he's an incredible artist in his own right. Plays in a few bands, but he's released his solo album not long ago, and it's got a free gig on Thursday night at Lully Tavern. So get along to that if you're into your Americana style music. Jeb's a super talent, so look forward to having a chat to him tomorrow night. But tonight it's all about Arabella and The Heist. All right, this four-piece rock number from Melbourne, Australia, are doing big things at the moment, big sound, and look forward to having a chat to these guys. So let's bring up the guys here. G'day, how are you guys? Welcome.
Oh, good. Thanks for having us.
No problem. What else would you be doing on a crazy Monday night, right? The Brownlows. Welcome, firstly, to episode 104 of So What's Been Happening. It's going to be good to have a little chat about your musical journey so far. I know it's been, it's like everything. It's been, I'm sure, with trials and tribulations along the way, but we look forward to having a chat about kind of where it's up to now and the exciting things happening with you guys. So we've got Joe Humphries, guitarist.
Yep.
Not just a guitarist. You're more than that, Joe. You're underselling yourself. Arabella. Welcome, Holly.
Hey.
All right, guys. We're going to kick off pretty much with a question we kind of normally hit up and have a chat about, and that's really your first kind of musical memory. It can be from anywhere, but how young were you, and what's really that memory for you? Let's go back a little bit.
Do you have one right off the top of your head?
Musical memory. Ooh. Actually, I do have one. It's basically
just lost you a little bit on the audio there. No, I've lost you a bit. Try again. I've still got you, Holly.
Interesting.
Hello?
That's better. Got you.
Cool.
Yeah, well, if you can't hear me.
No, I'm losing you again.
We'll try this.
Unmute. How's that?
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Yes, Bjork.
Yeah, Bjork. I don't know if you know the Bjork song "Oh So Quiet."
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, my mum used to play that a lot, and I remember dancing around the living room, the bit where she goes, "Oh, so quiet," like being really sneaky, and then as soon as the big band comes in, just exploding and running around the living room. And that was as a kid, and that's probably one of my first memories.
Yeah, nice. Do you remember roughly how old you were?
Or would have been around probably around 5. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All
Mid-90s.
right, what about you, Holly?
I have one of those weird memories that I've seen it on video. I don't fully remember it, but I remember being probably about 4 and losing my mind to Rammstein in the living room. There is a video of me running around just losing it. My dad had put on this Rammstein record. It was like crazy, but like actually first like memory of mine. I think I grew up with a lot of punk, so like my dad was like playing the Stranglers and stuff. So probably like just listening like around and stuff with my dad.
Yeah, cool. That's 2 very different first memories for sure.
Yeah.
But all part of what makes up the magic of music, right? It can be all sorts of influences. But interesting to hear that it's a very punky rock kind of influence from your family, Holly. And there's no doubt that that's moved on to where you are today, but not always necessarily where you were. Instruments, guys. First instruments picked up. What really was it for you, Joe? And has it always been guitar?
It actually hasn't. When I was in primary school in England, I remember we had a music teacher come in with all the instruments, and they were mainly like brass and woodwind, like trumpets. And basically, it was an open day with all the instruments, and it was try which ones you want, and then if you want, do lessons afterwards. It turned out that I was the only person in the school at that age that could play the French horn. I just picked it up and I could make a noise out of it. The music teacher told me to take it home, learn it, and learn the instrument, like have lessons on it. I think I took a couple of lessons, absolutely hated it. And I remember like basically crying to this instructor, like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this instrument. And then I believe my granddad had an acoustic guitar and like one of the classical, basically a nylon string. And then I think I remember picking that up and then kind of slowly progressing and having lessons from there. And that was where the guitar kind of came in.
Yeah. Okay. So definitely a bit of music on both sides of the equator, or there for sure. And at what stage did you come to Australia?
It's about 16 years ago now. So yeah, or almost half my life, I think.
Yeah, you're almost a local. We'll claim you now. When it's more than half your life, obviously we'll take you. We'll keep you. But welcome anyway, mate. And I'm sure you consider yourself pretty much an Aussie anyway. If not, we're going to call you one anyway. So
it was fun during the FIFA World Cup when both teams played each other. I didn't have a loser essentially.
No, but the question is, which side were you actually on?
Yeah, well, Matilda's, of course.
Yeah. Well done. All right, your first, more than likely, it was CDs for you guys. And the question was it CDs? And do you remember the first one that you bought that you paid for with your own money?
Oh, mine. I had CDs, but I actually remember because I was born in 2001, so it was kind of more MP3 players for me. Yeah, but I do remember my first CD, and it was an Arctic Monkeys CD. So
that's a good one. Yeah,
that was mine.
I'm gonna lose the cool points here. I can't compare it to the Arctic Monkeys, but of course, 90s in the UK, I believe it was probably S Club 7 or Spice Girls at that age, at that era, something like that. I remember knowing all the S Club 7 songs.
Well, we can't hold that against you, but thanks for being honest, mate, because a lot of people aren't, and they make up one of the cool ones, but it's not necessarily always that. So, and then from on the back of the first ever music you had, really, what was the first concert you went to at a big venue?
Mine was Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, right. And we've flipped the charts a little bit.
Still am a diehard Miley Cyrus fan.
Yeah.
And to go with the flipping of the charts, mine was actually the darkness. So
right.
it was on the highway to Hell tour. And yeah, I remember that.
Very nice.
So yeah, it was darkness.
Yeah, very nice. And guitar, obviously you talked about switching over to guitar. What age was kind of that? What age did you really obviously you picked up a guitar, but what age did you really kind of take it seriously and
well, I kind of had lessons from about, I believe it was probably about 8 years old, and kind of played on and off till I was about 12 or 13, I believe. And then I got distracted by surfing and skateboarding, and then the move here eventuated, and my guitar went into storage. I didn't actually play guitar for about 3 years, and then I lived here about a year living here, and then one of my friends actually played guitar, and then I was with him, and I was like, oh, I should probably get my guitar out of storage and play with you.
Yeah.
And then that was probably when I was about 16. So pretty much from 16 to now, or 17 to now, is when I kind of started playing again.
Okay. First band, what was its name, and what was the lineup? What did it look like?
First band for me was in the UK. We were a band called The Extract.
Yeah, right. Cool name.
We had one, I'd say, original song, and I remember we recorded it on our friend's MP3 player. His MP3 player had a microphone, so we managed to record something onto that. And I can't remember what website it was at the time, but we uploaded it to that. It was terrible. I hope no one can find it. They probably will now. And the other song we played was Papa Roach, Cut My Life into Pieces. Or Last Resort is the name of that song.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I didn't quite know what the lyrics were at the time when I was singing them, like what they quite meant and what the whole meaning of the song was, but we thought it was a fun sounding song.
That's wild.
Absolutely. And brave enough to put an original in there. That must be being pretty cool at that age to finally put your tunes out there. And not that it necessarily went anywhere in that respect, but it was good to, I'm sure, go through that kind of process. Not necessarily was it really recording. I'm sure it was just getting it playing live, like all great bands can pull off, and everyone thought, or you guys especially thought it was going to be the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah, all I remember from it is my really high-pitched, squeaky English accent introducing the song and the band name.
Did you sing?
I was a singer, but I hated it. I really hated it. But out of the group of mates, we had like 5 of us who played guitar, and I was the worst at playing guitar. So therefore, I became a singer.
Yeah, well, isn't that interesting how it can happen? And speaking of being a singer, obviously we cross to you now, Holly. Tell us a little bit about your kind of musical journey from the start, really, for you, because it wasn't always necessarily being in a band like it is now.
No, well, I grew up around a lot of music, and in our house we had this beautiful old piano that was like an heirloom, and everyone sort of twiddled on it, and I did not know any theory, but I kind of would mess around with it, figure out chords, and then I eventually started writing songs. And then I sort of thought about it, was like, I don't really want to be a keyboard player. I'd actually much rather, like, because I was starting to get more into like that kind of rocky stuff. I was maybe like early teens, and I was like, maybe I start playing guitar. So I went and bought like this Ibanez that was like super like metal looking. It's got like horns, and I just started playing just like indie rock on it, and did solo stuff for a while, and then felt I needed a band, so I brought these boys in.
Fantastic. So you mentioned a couple of instruments there. What was first for you?
Oh, definitely piano, just because I found it's interesting. I don't play guitar live now because I find it too much to do the singing and the guitar at once. Whereas with piano, I sort of found it an instrument I didn't have to think too much about. And I found it very versatile in terms of just what I wanted to do with it. So yeah, definitely piano.
Okay. Yeah, nice. And when did this band in particular come together? And was there a previous band as such for you as well, Holly?
There was friends I would rope in to play gigs with me, and we kind of did like a white stripe, just guitar, vocals, and drums for a while, which was a bit of fun. But yeah, nothing too serious until I wanted to form the actual band, to which I brought in people who were actual musicians and created a dedicated band.
Yeah, nice. I'm kind of sensing a bit of a White Stripes cover in the future, possibly for old time.
He's the die-hard White Stripes fan.
Oh, there you go. Well, I'll touch on that one a little bit later, but I fully expect the White Stripes cover then. Not that I've heard all your full set, but I've heard very much snippets and seen you in a little part of a show at one stage. So look forward to an upcoming gig you've got at the Cherry Bar, which is going to be huge on the 7th, I think it is, October. We'll talk about that shortly. All right, so we will touch on now just the EP, the latest EP, most importantly, the Backwoods. And I think you've released the first song off that at the moment. Is that correct? As a clip, or is there other songs have all been released now?
So all the songs are at the moment. We did MIA and Snakes and Weeds is the 2 singles off that one. Snakes and Weeds is one video. MIA is the crazy one that we end the set with that's a bit glitchy. And yeah, the Backwoods is just an amalgamation of so many different influences and sounds. Yeah.
All right, we're going to play a little snippet. Sorry, I'll come back to you in a sec, Joe. But let's play a little snippet of Snakes and Weeds. We'll play about a minute or so and come back and have a chat.
Hell yeah.
I traveled across the open desert to the busiest of cities out west. I've been to the holiest places of roll and drank with the worst and the best. Myself and my oldest demons, and I found them again in girls like me and boys like men. And then I lost my mind just to catch it again in the mirror of passing of time. For the roads that brought me here will never be yours. She says they weren't mine. They were never mine. They were never mine.
There you go. We could go on and on with that. It's great. That's a great song, guys. Congratulations as a band for getting that together, and a great clip too. I really enjoy it.
You guys have in that video how hot it was that day.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that clip. Where'd you shoot it? And no doubt, plenty of editing along the way. So just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we ended up shooting it, I think, in Strathmerton. So almost up at the you know where that is, way up in the border.
Middle of nowhere.
Yeah, we hired that car and drove it from Moorabbin all the way up there, about 3.5 hours, 40 degrees. And it was just insane.
It's so hot. And that car didn't have any air conditioning, and the seats were all leather, and I was wearing all leather, and it was insane. It was a lot of fun though. Not very often you get to say you're driving a Mustang down the highway that's going to film a music video. So it was pretty fun.
Yeah, they say drive it like you stole it, right? Or drive it like till it ran out of petrol. It almost seems like you went that far that you almost did. But who helped that clip together, and how did it come about? Because it's how did you choose that it was going to be a Mustang, and the location? How did that kind of come about?
I think met Callum Bella at a party one night, and I remember talking to him, and I'm a massive Lana Del Rey fan. Yeah. And super into the Americana desert vibes, and I was like, I've recorded this song. It's called Snakes and Weeds, and it needs to look desert-like. And they were like, you're not going to believe it, but I've just shot a photo book, and it's out in the middle of nowhere, and I know a spot, and we're going to go film it. And over the course of about 20-minute conversation, we just agreed we were doing it. And then, like 2 weeks later, we were in a car driving there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Isn't it funny how something like that can just come together and the perfect fit, and then you just got to get there, and no chance of rain, stinky hot day, just kind of made it work out. But yeah, once again, congratulations on putting it together. It's a ripper of a song. The rest of the songs, Six Shooter, I love on this EP. I reckon it's a classic song. And obviously MIA, as you said, finish your sets with a bit of madness. So look forward to seeing that, and we can't forget the first song on that EP as well, called Heaven. Just tell us a little bit about Heaven in particular. It's a big term and a big word. Does the song fit?
I think that lyrically with Heaven, in brackets after it, and I think it was an upload issue, the lyrics are heaven can't bring me down. So it's this idea of feeling so high that even this idea of the perfect place isn't perfect enough. So the idea of heaven can't bring me down from this high I'm currently on. So it's just like being in a sort of otherworldly, sort of happy space. But yeah, it was a song that I felt when we went into the studio. I feel like we'd just played a great gig or something. I can't remember. It was just like really electric in the studio, and I was just doing like, because when we record vocals, I just kind of throw lines at a mic, and it can sound like utter gibberish, but then something will stick, and you'll be like, wait, that fits how I'm feeling. And it's not often that a song lyrics will fit how you're feeling as well as fit the song. And I was like, this is perfect, this has to stay, and we built the rest of the song around that little line.
Yeah, very cool. And just on that, what's really the songwriting process for you guys? What do you go through as a band, other than hours of probably potentially hurting each other over lyrics and guitar riffs and all sorts of things? How does it come together? I know each song might be a little bit different, but tell us in particular maybe one of the songs off this EP.
Well, our process has actually changed a lot since that EP. So essentially everything, not everything, but the majority of the stuff up until that EP was myself and Holly. Especially during lockdown, I'd record something, send it to Holly, and we kind of just bounced forth, and there wasn't really much band involvement until we kind of went, here's the song, let's kind of figure it out. Like MIA, for example, that was me at home. I plugged in my guitar, made a weird noise, I looped it, and then that's the backing noise for that. And then I laid some bass and Logic drums and stuff, and then we kind of went, oh, this is a finished song kind of thing. Everything moving forward. So we've got some songs, we've got a lot of new songs now. We've actually recorded a couple should come out by the end of the year or beginning of next year, but that's more of a band process now. So maybe one of us will send a riff or an idea into the group chat, then we'll all kind of bounce off it, and then when we get into the rehearsal space together, we'll kind of all work out the song that way, or even in a rehearsal space, just organically kind of write the songs. So it's a lot more of a band process now than it was. It was a bit more isolated beforehand. Yeah,
very interesting. It's always interesting to talk to artists about what happened with them during lockdown. Some really went into meltdown mode. Some it was quite therapeutic. Some it was relationship breakups, and an unbelievable album came out of it. So yeah, you hear so many different stories as you hit the road again and talk to bands about, and some bands just literally gave it up. Some bands were created. So it's kind of really cool how, well, there's cool and bad elements to all that, obviously, but out of such a bad episode, we all like to not talk about it anymore. Some good things actually came out of it, believe it or not. So it's good to hear.
Joe kept going. I sort of took a bit of a back seat and just, tried to figure myself out, which I'm very grateful that I had time to do. But Joe was just like steam engine, inspiration. But you thrive in that kind of environment.
I think for me, don't want to harp onto it too much, but that time made me realize how much I actually enjoy being in the band and want to do this. Mm-hmm. So it made me come out of the other side going, this is what I've got to focus on. I realized I was lost without playing gigs, and that was a hard mindset to get into me writing. So I was like, what's the point of me writing a song if I'm not playing the show? But then eventually I just had these ideas that when we came out of it, we could kind of work off those. So
yeah, cool. Well, that's ironically how this whole podcast came together. It was literally put together by created in lockdown. Literally chatting to a couple of mates. We knew the music industry was kind of stopped immediately, as per hospitality and everything else. So we started to invite a couple of muso mates on. They kind of did a bit of stuff in between our chats, and we really just chatted about how we felt at the time. But it sort of progressed from there, and we end up 100 odd episodes in, not all chatting music, obviously, but also art and sport and all sorts of things. But it's been a really good outlet. And we're just now continue it to get to know other artists that we haven't connected with. And also then we create friends out of that, and we literally not launch careers, but we keep the process rolling, right? And it helps. It goes into the vault, and you never know who's going to pick it up and when, and have a little chat. And we try and get to know something about the band. We don't issue questions beforehand, as you are well aware now, and we just talk literally off the cuff of how things are. So really appreciate your time jumping on, guys, and having a chat. So especially on a Monday night when I'm sure there's either sleeping, eating, drinking, or relaxing you could be doing. If not,
chats about good music. That's what a Monday night is.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm interested in the lyric writing process too for you, Holly. It's definitely an outlet, I believe. I heard you say in another interview that it was very much an outlet for you. So just tell us a little bit about your not so much your thought process, but just kind of how you make a song come together.
Lyrics for me, I started a lot of this journey even before songwriting by doing spoken word, and I was doing like slam poetry on stages, and it was being 16 at the time and having a lot of 16-year-old feelings, and then going, wait, this rhymes, wait, I can keep this going, and then standing up on stage and going, and people enjoyed it, was kind of like, oh, wait, okay, this is a valid way for me to process my emotions. And now I find writing, my creative journey is a little bit interesting at this point in my life, because I go through phases of being like very much writing 100% in it, and then I'll take a couple of months off. And that sort of just feels the flow of it. But Snakes and Weeds was really interesting because it came right in the middle of that, like one of those spark couple of months. And I literally wrote it, went to studio, and exactly how you hear it now is how it came onto paper. It was one of those weird miracle sort of writing things. And I feel a lot of pressure sometimes to recreate that, which is why I've taken a little bit of a break, take a couple months off. And when inspiration hits again, I'll go back at it.
Yeah, interesting. Thanks for sharing that. That's great to hear that it's not always just written word for some people. In this case, it was kind of more spoken word, and that's where your confidence, I guess, comes across. Because you're definitely a confident girl on stage, which is really cool, and great to see. Great to see.
Yeah. It's I think that's where, like Joe was saying, so much of my love for music is being on the stage. And when you see us live, Snakes and Weeds and tracks like that are really performed with guttural emotion, and I'm not trying to stand there and sing the song perfectly. I want to perform it how I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
And that's the most important part for me, is how does this song make me feel? And I want to give that to the audience.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, there's an amazing part of being a punter on in the crowd, watching a band do their thing live, and just that raw emotion every time. It's never the same, and never the same show, never the same stage, never the same venue, which is all really cool. And also support bands and all sorts of things have an influence a little bit on the night too, which I really love. So you've played many gigs recently, not just recently, but all sorts of venues, which is really cool too. Even from one of the little indie venues in Melbourne, the Gem. It's a great place to be. So how much do you really, obviously you said you love being out there, but obviously you don't take anything for granted anymore, as far as this just happening and being able to get a stage and play a gig. So do you kind of feel like you just give every gig even more now?
100%. Just like my mind, like I was at uni last year and I had the opportunity to go back this year, and I decided not to and just do this full time and throw myself completely into it. Because when else am I going to be 21 and in a band? And I want to give it everything I've got. And I feel like that's such a post-COVID mentality, and that it drives me so much to make this music and get on those stages. Yep,
really cool. And it's a great tee you're wearing there too. I must comment on, Joe, the Undefeated Supporter Band.
Yeah, I reckon probably one of the best Australian bands at the moment.
Yeah,
great voice.
Let's touch on that. Well, we've got it, not just the unknowns, obviously, but just give me one other artist that everyone may not have necessarily know. You either may play with these crew, or you've seen them out there or heard of them. I need one from each of you. So who should we be looking at?
I'm going to give two and cheat. My first one is one that I think everyone has to see, which is Battlesnake, because they will blow your mind. The amount of like performance that those boys give is insane. We played with them the other day. Second tracks I've been spinning a lot of Mannequin Death Squad. Those guys are absolutely killer.
Okay.
So for them.
All right, I'll be checking that out.
I'm also going to give two, purely a bit biased because they're friends of ours, but I think they're really good. The Maggie Pills, and the Mix, both Melbourne bands, both killer. And definitely go check them out.
Absolutely killing it.
Awesome. Now I know there's a couple of gigs coming up, but when do you get to hit the road? Are you doing that at all? Interstate trips? What's the process, and how far away for you guys?
It's on the cards. So yeah, as I mentioned before briefly, we should have 2 songs out by the beginning of next year, early next year kind of thing. Hopefully we can do some shows off the back of that, try and go somewhere else other than the city, because we've been playing for 4 years and the furthest we've got out of the city is Frankston.
We went to Frankston. That's a trip.
I did hear that. Let's touch on old famous Frankston. Where was the gig? And just tell me a little bit about how it went.
It's an absolute gem of a place called Singing Bird in Frankston, and it's one of the best places to go just a bit out of Melbourne. They've got a wonderful setup there in terms of the venue. The main part that's just the best is that they do all ages shows there. So you get the kids coming down and they just have the best time. And I feel like the energy at all ages shows is just magic.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, we played there for it was the Maggie Pills album launch. So yeah, it was a good show, good turnout. Stu, who runs the place, is a really good guy.
Absolute legend.
Yeah, if you get a chance, head down there, catch a gig.
Yeah, for sure. And look, to be fair, Maggie Pills were lucky to have you guys as support. So don't talk yourselves down. You never know. They may support you on an album launch. We'll see. But they're doing some great things at the moment. Absolutely. Maggie Pills. Check them out. So I'm just going to flash back to one of her previous recordings, Alice. and just a little bit on the clip, and we'll just talk about this clip in particular. I won't play too much of it, but let's check this out.
Show you, but it's all gone now. I spend my time reminiscing on moments past. Every time I taste a president name, this seems to last. Been cutting out pieces of myself like shards broken grass.
There you go. Alice from the Steel EP, I believe. That was that's a great song too. And I really love the clip for that as well. I feel like I'm kind of flashback to Rage days, watching Rage TV, and it's pretty cool. So how did that kind of clip come about? Where did the content for that come?
I made that one. I think the technical term for it would be a video collage. It's cuts of lots of different. I think there's a couple of Japanese horror movies in there. There's lots of different clips in there, and it's just. I used to do a lot of that sort of stuff in my solo career, where I would kind of take clips and like going back to Lana again. She's well known for doing that early on in her career, and just like taking clips that match how you view the song, and that electric blue that came through in Alice really like, I wanted to put that in the video, and I feel like it came across pretty well.
Definitely. And how important do you think a video really is still for a song?
It's a strong debate at the moment. I think that the age we're in now with social media, we're consuming so much video content, and me being a Gen Z, I associate so many songs I listen to with the visuals that I see given to the songs online. So I think that they're absolutely invaluable. Do people sit down and watch a music video like they used to? Probably not as much, but I think they're still a very strong art form.
Yeah. What's which side of the camp are you on, Joe?
I enjoy music videos, and I think they are valuable. It's hard, like, I know, as Holly said, the social media world, it's hard. Like, essentially, a music video these days needs, I think, it's kind of something that people are only going to really watch like 60 seconds here and there, maybe. So even if you're kind of just making a music video and you're chopping it up and putting it online, as I guess as extra content, it's kind of how you've got to do it. But I do like the whole finished idea of packaging it all up with a song with a music video. I do really like that, and I enjoy the process of being in them, making them
so much fun.
It's kind of, but at the end, but it's like you put something up, especially a music video, you spend a lot of time doing it, and on YouTube, and not many people will end up actually watching it. So it's more of a kind of, but it's at the end of the day, it's there. It's an accompaniment to the music. If someone wants to watch it, they can. But it's kind of us.
Visuals for me are so integral to music. It's like when we wrote Snakes and Weeds, I went, it needs to look like this. And I think I do that when we're writing songs. Even I'll sit down and be like, and the lights on stage are doing this. And absolute props to the boys in my band, because they somehow figure that out musically when I go, and in this section a light strobe, and they go, we know what you mean. But visuals are so integral for me and how I consume music.
I totally agree. I mean, that whole art, art's not just music, right? It's the visual component that pieces it together, and obviously what makes movies what they are because of the music. You ever turn the music or the sound off in a movie, and all of a sudden it's not scary, right? So it's all about how the rest of it comes together, and obviously the music component to me is still just as important as the visual component. So I'm glad you agree. And I really think you're right. Time, it's not wasted time, I don't believe, even if it is consumed in small snippets, because it just gives you that little moment to be able to continuously market to as well. It's very hard to just play a song and just snap that up into clips and people just fade away. They've got to have some memory, like you said, memory or moment, like you're visualizing yourself, Holly. And I think that's really important. So don't let anyone win that race against you on that.
For sure.
All right, let's talk about upcoming gigs.
Yes.
We've got a big one coming up. There's one before the Cherry Bar though, I believe.
We're going back to Frankston. We're going all out. We're going to Frankston with a wonderful Brisbane band called Endless Valley, which will be a lot of fun. A couple local Frankston bands. And then the day after is our really big one. We love the Cherry Bar, and we really want to make it a crazy rock and roll night. So that made a big one. We're playing with two absolutely killer bands. We're playing with the Romantics and the Valiants, and those two are just killing it in the sort of old rock scene at the moment. Absolute powerhouses. So feel very lucky to have such a killer lineup for that one. It'll be a really good night.
Yeah, and you've played a couple of great little venues there. I talked about the old bar before, but Bergie Seltzer is a killer venue now, especially with the new band room.
Yeah, it was wonderful. We did that one in the front bar, and it was quite funny because it was a choice to do it in the front bar because it became so crowded. But when it's so crowded like that, the energy in the room is just electric. So we love the Bergie. It's so much fun.
I'm sure you would have blown that little archway apart at the Bergie for sure.
Yeah. Most of the footage you've probably seen on Instagram of the most recent reels and stuff we created is footage from that show. So you'll see the videos that Spook Cam created for us. He was there, he filmed that. Yeah, that's all from the Bergie hole in the wall.
The hole in the wall, the band box.
Yeah. Isn't it an amazing little space? It's kind of underrated, but there's a lot of kind of bands, or even doesn't matter what size the band is, somehow they all get in there. And it's kind of like really much a tiny little lounge room, cleared out. And you get to smash the pieces away. But it's a big little bar. That part was a little bar at the front. And it's a really cool little venue. But the band room now is fantastic.
It's wonderful. We've done it so well.
Hopefully next summer at Bergie we'll be in the band room.
We'll upgrade ourselves.
Yeah, that's okay. You never forget where you came from. So maybe you might do a little set in the front. Who knows? And then go out to the back.
We love our shows. They're so much fun. That's why we loved playing the Gem. It was so good.
Yeah, it's great. It's a weird kind of venue, the Gem, obviously with the sound over, it's around the corner, but they do such a good job with the sound there. And to have so many good bands roll through that place, you can guarantee any night in Melbourne, if you're out and about, the Gem or the Luli and a few other bars around that area are all got something on. So we're so blessed in Melbourne, that's for sure.
A wonderful community around those places. You just feel so at home when you end up there. It's wonderful. Yeah,
well, it's all, as you said, it's very much about being around people, being around positive people at this stage of your journeys, but also being able to flick messages onto people and see where they're up to as well, and catch up with people. Nothing better than not having to do it on Zoom. So I really look forward to meeting you guys at the Cherry Bar on the 7th. And a shout out to the Hound Dog, who's doing a killer job at the Cherry. And he just put up a thing about him DJing on Wednesday night. So we have to give him a special shout out to make sure he gets to do his thing. And that's why you have a bar, so you can do what you want. But what an awesome venue.
Yeah.
Props to that guy.
We probably spent a bit too much time there. If I'm
Just
be honest.
a little bit too much. They've actually got a bed set up for me behind the bar with my name engraved on it.
Perfect. That's when you know you've been there just enough.
Just enough. That's the members special.
Did you guys ever get to play the old Cherry Bar?
I wasn't old enough.
No, I didn't live down here at that point. When I initially moved over, we moved to Queensland, so I've only been down here for about 5 years now. So yeah.
Okay, I'm sure you've Sure, you've heard the stories, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And everyone who comes to new Cherry sits there and goes, but it wasn't old Cherry. So I know it was great. I know it was great. I've claimed this one as my home. I love it.
Yeah, I tell a lot of people, if you're comparing the cherries, then you just can't. It's like comparing bands that end up. Yeah, it's like bands with different lineups, or especially more probably the singer. That's when you can't compare. You can kind of get away with it with different guitarists. There's a different feel, but not necessarily noticed. But when you've got that different front man or front girl, it's incredible to feel the difference. And I don't like to compare in those positions. So, yeah, very interesting. All right, guys. You guys have been fantastic. Thanks a lot for your time. 45 minutes has flown by. Interesting enough, when we talk about absorbing information before, I sat there when I was playing that clip and thought, how long am I playing it for? Jesus, feels like a long time. And it was only about a minute, right? Exactly to your point before, Joe, that what we're talking about with how much you can really absorb these days. But what we find with these shows, people absorb little snippets, come back later, hear a few more questions. But I can't go without getting a couple of influences off you, whether they be current influences or who's been probably the biggest influence in your music career from both of you?
Oh, okay. I'll go first. I grew up with a lot of Pretenders, so Chrissy Hine, big fan. But currently I am obsessed with Dead Weather, so that's probably my go-to at the moment.
It started with 70s rock and then moved slowly to White Stripes, blues, punk, post-punk, and now Idols is probably my biggest kind of influence at the moment. It's just chaotic energy. Yeah,
it's all about the chaos.
Yeah, I can feel that. I can sense that. So don't change it. It's an awesome part about your band and the special path you're kind of creating. There's a Melbourne band who's doing big things at the moment called the Blowers, who are also massive Unknowns fans, and more likely friends of yours or you know them, but they're killing it out there at the moment, and they do exactly that. They don't change who they are. They just do it hard and do it well. So long may it continue, because there's so much out there, right? But attracting new audiences is always one thing. You just got to be true to what you do, and just nail it and just love it, most importantly. All right, the last question. There's two of you here. You get to invite 3 people each to a party. Now, they can be living or dead, and they can be either influencers or friends or whatever. But this is a joint party that you're going to have, 3 people each. Who would it be?
Oh my gosh, what a question. I have to invite Alex Turner because he's the love of my life. He just doesn't know it yet. Alex Turner, because we were just talking about Alison Mosshart, and I'm going to steal one of yours.
Yeah, I'm trying to have a think. I think musicians come to mind, but I think you'd have to have Noel and Liam Gallagher.
You would have to have Noel and Liam.
You have to have them both there, just because you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yes.
Like, just have them both there, and maybe because they're there, just add Damon Albarn as well. And just create the whole track and just see if it implodes.
Oh, that sounds incredible. Can I come to your dinner party?
It's a joint party, so that means one of you has to invite Liam and one has to invite Noel, and neither of you, they can't cross over.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, awesome. All right, guys, we're going to leave it there because we can talk forever, no doubt. So, most importantly, this is the new EP, and really look forward to upcoming music. This is the Backwoods EP, and you can't forget that in a couple of days' time, it's a couple of weeks' time, really, but it will come quick enough. October 6th is the first one, Singing Bird. If you're down in Frankston Way, if you're not, drive down there anyway, and then come back and do the double at the Cherry. Absolutely. So it is a big weekend for you guys, and look forward to meeting you at a gig soon. So fantastic. Thanks for joining me, guys. Great to hear you doing great things, and keep it going, most importantly.
Thanks,
Chat
Aaron.
soon. Thanks
See
for
ya.
joining us. Cheers. Wow, what an awesome couple of guys from Arabella and The Heist. We wish them all the best. Some fantastic artwork in amongst their albums. But most importantly, you're going to have to get to a record shop or get on the internet and find them, most importantly. And this is where you do it. It is, we'll give you the link tree details, Arabella and The Heist. That's what you need to look up and get on it, because these guys are doing some great things. And I can tell you, Holly absolutely tears it, a new one on stage. So make sure you get out there and check it out. They're incredible talent, and long may it continue. So look after yourselves. As we said, for tomorrow night, we're going to catch up with Jeb Cardwell. So please join us for a chat. And Thursday night, be down at the Lully Tavern checking out Jeb's gig. So that'll be a great one before the public holiday, most importantly in Melbourne and grand final. So who cares about the Brownlow? Who cares what's happening there? We don't care anymore, because Melbourne lost, as we discussed. So went out in straight sets. But good luck, honestly, to Collingwood Footy Club and Brisbane Football Club on their quest for the big one. But right behind me is the Cherry Bar. That's the spot you're going to be on October 7th. Please get your tickets, come along and support a great live music event, most importantly. And if you can't support, please just jump on, buy a ticket and gift it to someone. I guarantee you they'll thank you later. So get out there amongst it, and we'll see you out there soon.